You are listening to JC Podcasts with Josh and Callum.
Alright, hey guys, this is Callum. I'm here with Josh.
Hiya. We apologise for the last
Video.
podcast as well.
Yeah,
It
it was a
was
bit
it
of a
was
fail.
pathetic. I mean, I don't think it was pathetic, but Callum does. So I think it was top of the range. I think that's why we got about 3-4 views. But anyway, today we are talking about um, society
Well, it's not, I wouldn't call it. Oh, yeah, society, yeah.
and the fact that I think there's too many people living and
Live.
towns are being built up too much, and I think the countryside is starting to you know decrease.
Yeah, yeah.
What's your thoughts?
Well, the thing is you look back at a picture of a town or a village about 20, 30 years ago, and you look a picture of it now, and you see it's grown about twice the size. Uh,
Exactly. I mean, even I won't tell you where my hometown is, but I mean you know. But I mean, and you know that I'm telling the truth. There's things where I see suddenly I just see, well, that building wasn't there, a year ago, and I think, where did that come from? And and I think one day and I think that's what it is. I think the fact is that people are living
Longer.
a lot longer. Not to say it's wrong, but the fact is that if someone lives an extra 20 years, then let's say he was 60 and he lived till another 20 years. At 60, someone's born at 60, right? So it's like a newborn, and that means that
What? Wait, you just
come
said someone's
20,
born at 60.
oh
Uh,
yeah, I did. But what I mean is that if someone's 60 and there's a newborn, like obviously a newborn,
Baby.
um, yeah, exactly, and that 60-year-old lives another 20 years, you got to think that when that child's grown up at 18, so think about it, he's got to try and find a place to live. Obviously, they need more, they need more buildings and stuff, So you can even say when it was, if he was 13 and the 60-year-old lived another 20 years, you got to think, well, come come 7 years, where's that, where are they going to live? So that's why there's people, and the fact that there's so many foreigners coming into the country. I'm not saying it's a wrong thing to do, but obviously it's being built up to support them. So
Yeah, and also earlier you said people are living longer because of the NHS, but I don't. It's not the NHS. Sorry, NHS. It's the immune systems of the humans. We're evolving not by
I don't think
appearance,
we
by
are.
by the
I think
insight.
I
Whereas,
think the fact is that there's things out there to stop you dying,
of
and
course, yeah,
the NHS supply them, or anything, obviously health anyway supply them. But in doctors' medicine is getting so much advanced that it's being able to keep people
yeah,
alive.
yeah. Well,
You've got to think about it. 100 years ago, people only lived till say 40, 50 years old,
yeah.
and that's because the NHS wasn't there.
But the
You know,
thing
if
is,
someone has a if someone has a heart attack, normally back 100 years ago, they would probably die. But whereas here we can revive them and things like that. So you got
revive
to
them.
think, you know, and also if people lose legs and arms and things like that, then
Mm.
obviously back 200 years ago they wouldn't have survived
Yeah, but 200 years ago,
because.
you didn't even know your grandparents. You didn't grow up having grandparents.
But what I mean is, if say you lose your legs at 20, you're in a wheelchair. But 200 years ago, you probably would have died of gangrene. All the health, obviously,
Mm.
because they couldn't heal. They couldn't fix it up properly. They couldn't,
Yeah, but
you know, and obviously years to come, the health service is getting so much better. That's why we live a certain longer time.
yeah,
That's why there's more people on the planet. Is because that the health is getting. It's not the fact that there's too many people having sex and giving birth to people. It's the fact that we're living longer, which means that if someone was born in in the period of time that someone lives till they're 80, it means that that child grows up. at 20, you're trying to look for a place, and it obviously means that they've got to build and build and build until, obviously there's a limit to how much of the health they can't keep people alive for too long. Obviously, you're not going to look at it in another 100 years' time, and we're living to 200. But what I'm saying is that, you know,
Yeah, but the
and also it is the fact that people are moving from, say, Iraq because, or
Pakistan.
Africa because it's such a bad place to live, and and Europe as well. You look at Poland and people over here. I mean, if I was in their situation, I'd probably do the same thing. But I think the government needs to sort it out. But obviously now we're in the EU, or they decide on that
Human
anyway.
rights.
So
Yeah.
it's not our decision. Britain can't say go away,
Well, they should. I think they should stand up.
but they can't because the EU decide what's right,
I know,
and
but they shouldn't. They should
so
stand
they
up for themselves. That's what I think. Stand up
Well,
for
yeah, but now
themselves and say,
now
you
we're in it.
know,
We can't get out. We
we
haven't got the significant funds. I don't think. I think that's the point.
I know, but you were talking about the NHS. Oh, yeah, I can't get that right. NHS. Um,
Bloody hell.
keeping
I
people
think you need
alive
a little.
longer,
I think you need
but
an NH, an S check.
it's also the fact that I said minutes ago that the immune system gets stronger. I mean, a couple hundred years ago, people would die because they'd get colds, but
Yeah,
nowadays
but
we
you got to think about the fact that back in that time they didn't have central heating and they didn't keep warm and they didn't eat the right foods, and and also that they were very poorly didn't have
yeah
enough money for food, and also back 300 yeyears ago you went hunting for food. They didn't have a
what?
McDonald's down the corner, did they? They didn't have a shop 300 years ago. You went out and killed your own thing. So
Not
you got to think
not
about the fact
300
that,
years ago. No,
well, yeah, all
you
right,
had
let's say,
markets and shops and
yeah, all right. But what I mean is that there's a lot more food as such.
yeah
Back, and also it was all about the fact that if you were poor, you got a certain amount of money. Here, no one really goes poor because there's always um, benefits and things like that. They keep you alive, so
yeah
that's another thing.
you
Back then, if you didn't have any money, you died,
yeah
or you went mental and became Auntie Auntie Alice with the mental with no money. That's what you became.
you um you were talking about the fact that the cities were going outwards. But well, you said the
Yeah,
towns and villages are going outwards, but nowadays the big cities are going inwards. They're destroying the old buildings and rebuilding new buildings, but with smaller areas.
that's what they're trying to do. But the fact is that in London and places like that is because it's not just because they're trying to keep the countryside. It's more because of money. Because in London it costs so much money to
Yeah,
buy a plot of land that's why people. That's why, and that's why in New York and places like that you see just tall buildings is because it probably costs so much money to get
to buy the
to get a piece of
land.
to buy a piece of land to make a
Yeah,
building. Is that so they buy a bit of land and then build just up and up and up, which
yeah,
means they don't have to build long lines. I
yeah.
don't think it's the fact that they care about us. Otherwise, I think it's the fact that
The world revolves around finance.
well, yeah, but yeah. Well, that's an interesting. If you have any thoughts about it,
Yep.
um, please comment and
Comment on what we should do next week as well.
yeah.
If you didn't watch the last
I
video,
think yeah, because how long? I don't know how long we got left on this thing.
I don't know. If not, I'll make two parts.
Okay. Well, if you've got any comments about what you think about it, and then please comment, please, because we're desperate. I think the only comments we've had is that people we've known.
Yeah,
So,
pretty much. The bloke that commented
uh,
last time, I knew him.
yeah, and I've commented once, and I think Callum has. So
No, yeah, but
that
I
makes
replied to a comment.
yeah. So well, I just was very good.
Alright, guys, if
I
you've
thought,
watched, thanks for watching. Please comment, like,
cheers.
favourite, rate,
I
etc.
think this is on being quite good. Alright.
Yep.
Ciao. Ciao,
Alright, guys,
guys.
thanks for watching. Smell you later.
Bye. You've been listening to JC Podcasts with Josh and Callum. Love you lots.